Don't forget to follow Grit Daily News as well as me, your host, Loralyn Mears, everywhere on social media. And how about throwing 4 or 5 stars our way if you're listening to Apple or Spotify? Subscribe to our show.
Hi, everyone. It's Loralyn Mears here, host of The Grit Files. And every week we bring you something new, something exciting. And we are on the frontier here with our guest today, Muddu Sadhakar of Aisera. And you're thinking, Aisera, sounds like there may be an AI in that. And if you are thinking that, well, maybe you're just about as clever as the technology that they've built, because it is all about artificial intelligence and specifically around conversational intelligence. So we're going to get into that. First, let's give a warm welcome to Muddu. Hi, Muddu.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you very much. And great to be with you on your podcast today.
Oh, well, we're excited. I mean, AI, you're on the frontier. Before we get into a lot of the specifics about what you're doing at Aisera, maybe just give us the high-level introduction as to what prompted you to want to build this.
Very nice. So first is, I think I love your show with your name, The Grit. Hopefully, Aisera can bring the grit to the AI world. I can see that connecting the Aisera with your AI and with the grit files. So it's very nice. With that, I think, look, what happened was, I think back in 2017, I was at ServiceNow. The idea came to us mainly because if you see it 4 or 5 years back, most of the customer service representatives, like all of us, when we have a problem at home or at office, businesses, we always rely on contact center, call centers. Like if you have a problem with your laptops, with your Microsoft Office, with your Salesforce, and you increasingly rely on your IT and customer service to solve the problems. The idea is, can we make a self-service here, right? Obviously, since before the COVID, it was very popular. During the COVID, it's very mandatory now, right? How can we do without leveraging humans involved where possible, right? Can AI really help solve mundane, repetitive tasks so that the humans can do more intelligent and high-level tasks? That was the whole premises behind how Aisera got started.
And one of the things that I like to ask our audience, because everybody comes from a different background, some of our audience is highly technical, other members of our audience, not so much. So if you could explain to me, let's pretend I'm an alien from another planet and I've just landed on Earth and I said, oh, hello, Muddu. And you created this company called Aisera. Tell me in a line or two what you really do.
Very good. So what we do is, we are like if you guys, hopefully your alien members will know what Siri from Apple is and Amazon Alexa. So we are like a Siri and Alexa for enterprises. We are a digital and a voice assistant for your customer service. That's what it is. And when I say enterprise, I really mean like enterprises like consumer, B2B, B2C organizations.
Excellent. And one of the things that I noticed that came up was really neat, because the part of this podcast is about educating each other and our audience. I saw a term that you came up with, or maybe I don't know if you originated it, but it was used in the descriptions of the work that you do, called plastic infrastructure. What's that all about?
Yeah, I think, look, I think the way in which we are kind of describing that whole thing is infrastructure as a service, right? So see, think of like what happened in the cloud and SaaS world. The whole idea of AI is, if there's a way you can automate tasks and make it a mundane, repetitive task to be automated, and that's what we call it. We call it AI service desk or AI customer service. The whole idea is make this thing as amicable and amenable to people's needs, so that I really want to customize it to your needs. So let's say you and Amanda have different organizations. I need to understand what you speak in your organization, your vocabulary, and that will be different from Amanda's organization. So able to pick up your organization requests and able to fulfill them, resolve them, and that's where we come in. It's almost like, think of like you're personalizing your Siri and Alexa to your organization.
I'm fascinated by all of these things that are at the intersection of humanity and technology, right? Making it more human. Hey, whatever the insert of the robot name is, like you said, Alexa or Siri, show me where I can find information inside my company's crazy portal that has 10 billion pages, or show me this or show me that. And that's always a cool application. One of the things that stunned me in doing research about Aisera is that you have trained your technology on a vocabulary of more than 1 trillion words. Talk to us what that involved. What did you have to do for that?
Yeah, so very good point. So yeah, to do this, first thing is you have to build your own, think of like your dictionary. So what we did is we built our own ontology and taxonomy, and you got to do that in across languages too, right? Not just English. Like we support this in Chinese, Japanese, Spanish. So first is to get the vocabulary correct, and within the vocabulary, again, there are what you call an intent, because I need to understand the meaning of the request that you are doing, and an intent could also be expressed in multiple languages, right? You may ask the question in your own way, and I may ask the same thing. Like, for example, I might say, I want to install Office 365. You might say Office to be Microsoft Office or O365. So, able to understand the various phrases, languages, permutation combinations for all your needs within an enterprise, that's what's going to explore the space of how many combinations of words and phrases we need to understand. So, we did a lot of work early on to bring a good ontology out of the box, and having that really helped understand when we implement the solution within the organization.
As a founder myself, not everything goes to plan, right? In fact, a lot of things go sideways. And this is the grit file. So we want to hear about some of the grittier things that you've had to gut your way through. Getting all of this set up and creating these ontologies and making everything work can't have been super easy and straightforward. What would you like to share with our audience who are other entrepreneurs and thinking about, wow, can I get through this? Am I going to have tough days? Can I get through them? Give them some advice. Talk to them about your toughest experiences and what you did.
Yeah, very good question. Look, the success will never be straight line, right? There'll be ups and downs. Like right now, we've been close to 4 years as a company. So I think the major ones, if you look at the product and technology as a company, first thing is to understand that you need the data sets. See, the big thing about AI is not about the algorithms and machine learning and AI. Without the data, and data is the new oil, I call it. Data is the without data, you really can't do much. So able to get various data sets from various customers, and we were able to leverage the whether it's Wikipedia or the greater internet. That really took a lot of effort. That's number one from a grid perspective that we didn't plan. Second thing is to able to customize it to your own needs. That's something I did not see many people in the industry were doing it, and that's again a second innovation from Aisera. The third thing is, remember, as you talked about, it's not about finding the information within your organization. What came to realization to us was, if I can tell you, Loralyn, so here is the information versus actually doing the problem for you. So you can actually talk to our AI and say, hey, can you install a VPN for me? Or my Outlook is not working. Can you troubleshoot that? So taking the knowledge to serve to actually doing an automation to fix your problem will take the bot to a new level. And that is also something that we didn't anticipate, but the customers actually showed that we need to do that. And I call that one hyper automation. So taking the AI and actually being a Valentine's Day, marrying AI and automation, that's where the whole thing came together. The AI and automation, I call that one AI service experience, right? So that will be the top three things I would say is what we didn't anticipate, but we had to do a lot of work to make this work.
And what about you personally? You've been on this journey for over 4 years. How have you changed?
Oh wow, it's ever changing. I think I'm still an youngster. I think I'm still a teenager. So even though I've been doing it for 30 years, every company teaches of its own, right? So I might have done it 5 times in the past, Loralyn, but every company, the history is not an example of what will about to come. So no, I mean, difficulties and challenges for every company is different. I think what experience this time is the COVID for me, right? COVID really put us in a totally different path. It's not a playbook anybody experienced. All of us have to work remote. It did help our business a lot because because of COVID, our business actually kind of skyrocketed because people did not want to go back to work, and in remote work environment, everybody wanted self-service. So it played well to Aisera's strengths being COVID, but at the same time, there are so many people were dying, and given COVID situation, we had to handle our own challenges as well, right? So no, it is COVID was a very tough environment for us to deal last 2 years, and we still don't know how the playbook will be in the next years to come.
Everything's shifting. It's that incessant uncertainty with everything, which industry, which aspect, which paradigms, which traditions that we held or expectations that we had, everything's shifting with this pandemic epiphany that we've each had, which is unique, to every one of us and how we're experiencing it and what we're going to do next. But all of us are thinking about it, that's for sure.
And one more thing to add, I think, to your question is, I actually, even going forward, I call this one hybrid work environments, right? Many people will not come back to work. Some people only want to come to work. Some people say, I want to remain 100% remote, right? So some people like AI, by the way. Loralyn, what we noticed is, other thing back to your grid files is, some people don't want to talk to AI, right? So somebody don't want to even deal with AI, like whether you use Zoom or Slack or Microsoft Teams. See, we support various channels of communication, from voice down to digital assistant. But there are some people who want to say, hey, I only want to deal with humans, right? When they say, hey, Aisera, they expect the other side is a human answering the question. They don't want to see AI trying to respond and resolving the request, even though we do a pretty good job. So this is a situation of what I call it, the solution be big enough to support all type of solutions. Some people like AI, some people don't, but you got to accommodate everybody.
Let's talk about that division, because the world right now is so divided on every issue: politics, vaccination, I mean, you name it, and racism, which is just rampant. I mean, all of this stuff. So when you're dealing with an audience who may be opposed to artificial intelligence and saying, you know what, I don't want to deal with a robot, like you said, I don't want to be replaced by a robot. I am humans, pro-human. How do you deal with that and navigate that situation when the person is employed at a company that's using your technology? What do you do with them?
Yeah, no, very good. So this was a challenge that was posed to us very early on. So we came with a couple of things that really helped. Let me give you concrete examples. One is, within our AI, what we do is we can bring in the live human being and connect to a live agent right there. See, within Zoom, let's say when you ask a question, if you don't want AI, instead of changing your experience, Lauren, if I bring in a live person and talk to you, I'm actually trying to address your problem right there, and also giving you a live option to talk to a human. So as long as I make that experience smooth enough, I'm not creating a friction. You'll still like our solution because you have the option to talk to a live human. So we call that escalation to a live agent. Talking to a live agent is provided. Second thing we did in our solution is to make really value to you. Instead of you asking a question, we took a chapter from Tesla, which is, we will inform you if there's something you need to do. An example would be is like, I call this a butler service or a concierge service. Like, I will tell you there are 4 or 5 things you need to do. So I want to become a butler for you, Loralyn, right? In a way saying, hey, Loralyn, your Microsoft Office license is expiring. Would you like to pay the bill? Or would you like to extend your license to this? Or your password needs to be reset at this time. Or I see your Salesforce license on this needs another plan. Or your McAfee might need a family license for your cybersecurity. So if I can be a use to you, and where I can be your eyes and ears, where without you asking, if I'm protecting you through cybersecurity, through your day-to-day needs, you'll eventually fall in love with us. So our chapter is, go back to the users, understand the user's behavior, see how can we appeal to them, engage the users, right? So then I am no longer behaving like a bot that you don't deal with it. I'm like a useful resource to you.
Do you like I love it. Yes, I do. So that 2 things really came out of this that are really important. Number one, talking about that analogy of the butler or the concierge. Let me do this for you. Let me stay on top of your stuff. When you were saying that, I was envisioning and saying, oh my goodness, if I could just have, right, like the easy button, click it and say, oh my goodness, look at all of my subscriptions, this, that, just freaking tell me when they're going to be expiring, prompt me and make it happen, right? Here's my credit card, go. Love that. That's a really clear example. The second thing that you brought up, I think, is going to be key to our listeners. I've done this myself. You mentioned that you looked at Tesla and other examples and you're learning from them. I don't think that everybody has to reinvent everything. We can look and learn from these other companies and what they've done well and see if we can emulate it for our instance. Talk about how you use that as part of your thinking process and design process.
Absolutely. Look, my wife purchased Tesla 5 years back, And one thing that caught to my interest when we use it, it would actually tell us when to service the car, when to charge the car, when to replace the car. Like, it's a simple concepts that what Tesla has taken the automotive industry to a different level, even though we've been driving cars for the last 100 years. And I think these are simple concepts the IT industry needs to do it. Remember, IT industry been doing help desk, customer service for 30, 40 years. So my mantra is like yours, Lauren, which is we need to make this thing much more usable and borrow the concept from across the industry. Make it simple, right? So in that concept is where we derive this whole idea of proactive user engagement, inform the user, notify the users on things that they're not anticipating it, right? And there's a third example I can give you that we have taken to the other level, which is not only for a user request, we use AI for what we call operations. Operations could be for your cloud and DevOps and IT, where we have taken that to a next level, where what we said is, hey, can I notify you of outages? So think of like your earthquake. Before you having an earthquake, if I can give you an early warning, because software always will have failures, IT will have always issues, and cloud and DevOps. So what we did is, can we look at your telemetry, your logs, events, and can we notify you on the incidents about to happen or outages? There will be still false positives, but if I can reduce my false positives, and if I'm going to be 70, 80% correct and give you early warning of hours and days, I'm really going to be a great tool and resource for you. And we have taken that proactive notifications from user request all the way down to applications, machines, and infrastructure.
That's exactly it, right? That whole predictive analytics and all of that comes in. So let's rewind a little bit. Like I said, you've been at the company now for a few years at this. Is there anything you would go back and undo and give advice in that way to other founders and say, oh my goodness, I wish I could have undone this. I should have done this earlier. What would that be?
Yeah, look, first of all, if I have to do it all over again, things that I've done, I would do exactly the same thing. There's nothing I would have undo. Obviously, I didn't anticipate the COVID. None of us did. The only other area that I would say I would have done double down would be is, at the end of the day, it's all about people, right? Hiring the people, getting the right people, getting the right expertise. See, startup is all about, as an entrepreneur, it's about people, right? Getting the right people, right time, leveraging people is always important. So without people, we can't build this. Even though we talk about AI, to build AI, I need humans. We are not at a point AI can build for AI yet. So I think hiring is always the important one, and people are very important for our business. If I have to go back all over again, I would continue to look for more and more good people throughout our life of journey.
It is hard, like I said, as a founder myself, I've struggled with that, trying to find the right talent, trying to balance paying the talent what they're worth, but at the same time, being a bootstrap startup, not having extensive funds to be able to do that. It's a lot of balancing acts.
You nailed it. And again, being a startup, again, we went through 3 rounds of funding. We've raised like close to $100 million with Menlo Ventures, True Ventures, Norwest, Icon, right? So it takes a while. And very early on, me and Ram Shriram, Ram is on the board of Google. So me and Ram kind of started this whole project. And Ram's vision was being on Google's board. Like, hey, can we do this disruption to the customer service? Because, Lauren, to be honest with, there are around 50 million people worldwide in call center jobs across the world, across the right, on many continents, and they're all getting maybe less than $5 to $10 an hour, right? So for me, this is a disruption. I want to do it so that we can change the lives of these 50 million people. Even if I disrupt 1% of that, that's a huge satisfaction for that many people will be out of poverty, right? And not that these people want to get $5 hour, right? So they also want to move up. They want to be salespeople, product people, software developers. So if we can provide a career path so people can get out of the call centers and get into this new way of doing AI, workflows, software development, we are impacting the lives of that many people. And that really is my every day I wake up, for all the challenges that I go through, I look at that and say, look, there's a purpose to my life.
I share the same purpose. You and I were meant to talk here tonight, Muddu. This is fantastic. I want to give everybody an opportunity to develop their careers and have equal access, because it's just too few that get the opportunities and privileges for education, for coaching, for training, for all of that stuff. Fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that. I didn't realize that was an aspect of Aisera. Now, if we move on And just as we're getting close to the end here to wrap up, I'd like to ask if there's anything that you want to put in front of our audience and say, hey, audience, this is a way that you could really help me, or this is something that we could do for you. What would that be?
I think first is, look, big thing is the AI is, technology is something, it's still what you call infancy. It will go through its maturity, but you got to make a bet, right? I'm not sure if I can be a help to you and your audience, but unless you try it, you don't know. So my request to people always, take a bet, take a try a POC, try a trial, try it for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. AI is one of those things, unless you try and evolve and put your hands into the technology and implement it, sitting on the sidelines will not solve the problem. So my request to your audience is, be bold, make a bet. You're starting the new year 2022, right? So the more bets you can make, some bets will work, some may not happen. But if you don't make a bet, you'll never know it's going to work for your organization.
Oh, fantastic. Be bold, make a bet. There you go. Hey, it's, you heard from Muddu. This is the directive. It's a great call to action. All right, last question. This one is fun and silly after talking about AI and plastic infrastructure and technology and all that good stuff. If we looked into your closet and there was a pair of footwear that represented your personality, what is that? And why does it match your personality?
My footwear and my dress is all red color. I love red. Red is the theme for us, being bold. So I wear a red sweatshirt, red pullover, red shoes. So that's my thing.
Fantastic. That's awesome. All right, Muddu, we're going to wrap things up here with our podcast. And thank you so much, Muddu Sadhakar of Aisera, for being a guest on our Grit Files podcast today.
Thank you, Loralyn. You've been fantastic to have me here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?